with that being said, guys, you can stay on the line, Angry Mark. We're going to bring in right now our next guest, live. He is the co-host with Vince Russo on the brand on the RELM Network. He is also author of, excuse me, Why Not to Work. I'm sorry. He's author of Why It Sucks to Work at a Restaurant. Great dude, author, blogger. Check him out on the brand on the RELM Network. Bringing in right now, live, Jeff Lane. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going? I appreciate the invite.
No problem.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks.
How you feeling today?
Doing good.
Doing good. Now,
just curious, have any of you seen if the Raw ratings have come out yet? I've been looking for those and have not seen them yet.
Angry Mark, do you have an update on the Raw ratings? I know we tend to get them pretty early.
Well, if you hold on, I think I found them. That's my toilet flushing.
Jeff,
they just went right down the drain.
Jeff Lane,
I hope he wiped. Hope he wiped.
Yeah, hope he wiped. Hope he did. Jeff,
nice.
What's your thoughts on that?
On what? The toilet?
On the fact Angry Mark flushed the toilet on the Raw ratings. I know they got 2.16 last week. I'm pretty sure they probably stayed about the same. Maybe they increased a tiny bit. What's your predictions of the ratings?
Well, I bet you they'll see an increase this week. We had a totally different football game scenario. It was a pretty crappy game. Well, I mean, the game itself was good, but the teams that were playing it, and the show was a little better than last week, so I bet you they see a slight increase this week.
Cool. Well, shout out to, is there dogs barking in here, Jeff? Do you have dogs?
I have dogs, yes, but those are not my dogs.
Oh, okay, I heard dogs barking. I'm sorry. Shout out to the dogs that we hear barking in the background. We have you on the show. Thank you for coming on to the show. I know you, man, a very busy schedule. Definitely, we are a big fan of your website. I know you cover a lot of different topics instead of wrestling with pop culture. And we read your articles on James Bond movies and did an article about Superman. If you can, give us a little background about yourself. I know we did a quick introduction, but give us a background about how you got into the wrestling business.
Well, like a lot of people, in my age range, I think, a lot of wrestling fans anyway, I grew up, when I started getting into wrestling, when I was younger, it was like the WrestleMania 3, 4, 5, 6 era. So that's when I really got into wrestling, really attached to the WWF at the time. And then as I started to get older, into high school, that's when, the cartoon era started, and I kind of just lost interest. The wrestling wasn't for me anymore. But as I got into college, I got back into wrestling, with the NWO and the Attitude Era, and I really started to focus on, the creativity involved in putting together a show. I've always been a guy who's been entertained by wrestling because of the people that are in it, what they do, who they are, their stories. And I started really paying attention to that. And once, the Attitude Era got rolling and there were so many creative storylines, I just decided, I want to do this. I want to, work. If I was to work in wrestling, I don't want to wrestle. I want to work in creative. So that was my goal when I was in college. Getting out, I wanted to see how to get into that. So when I graduated college, I started writing for OneWrestling.com. At the time, I believe it was owned by Joey Styles. But I just did a fantasy booking type deal on there, and I ended up doing, just some opinion columns and such. And I did that for a while, just kind of get my feet wet with writing. And then I got involved with a wrestling school in Syracuse, New York, which, if anybody's looking to try to get into the wrestling business, that's how I did it. I just went to this wrestling school. I contacted them, asked them if they needed any help with their creative. They let me come in and start working with them. And it was a really interesting setup because what they did at this school was they would train the wrestlers, you know, in the ring one day, but the next day they would also film a TV show that was on locally. So at the same time they were training them to work in the ring, they were also training them on how to put on a TV show. So I got to write the TV show for the students, and I had an absolute blast doing that. I ended up getting working a lot more in indies out in Indiana and Midwest kind of. And then just kind of that was it for me. Never really made it too much farther than that. Kind of got frustrated with the business. Had a lot of bad experiences, so I kind of walked away, tried my life in restaurant management, which that didn't work if you've seen the title of my book. And then you know, I've kind of got back into it on this end of you know, like what you guys do, doing shows and podcasts and things with Vince now.
Well, I want to ask you about, of course, before we go more so about your career, Vince Russo. He gets so much bad heat. He has so much of a bad rep. We, of course, know people inside the business, too. We work with people that used to work with him. There's people that hate his guts. He didn't know what he was doing, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, there's people that do like him. You know, we just had Dr. Tom Pritchard just say good words about Vince Russo and other people we know. So what are your thoughts on the heat that Russo gets?
Well, I think part of it is, you know, there hasn't been a lot of writers over time in wrestling that are known. You know what I mean? That people know this is what they wrote, this is what they did. He's one of the few with Ed. You know, they became so popular that people know what Vince and Ed were writing. And I don't think other writers have had that, you know, that publicity where people can just start, like, throwing insults their way at the stuff they didn't like. So, you know, I think that comes with the territory of how successful they were. The more successful you are, the more haters you're going to get. You know, as far as for the people in the business, you know, you really don't hear it, any heat from the people that were successful working with Vince. It's usually the people that weren't. And a lot of people in the business, not all of them, please, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them, if they don't succeed, the first thing they do is blame the writer or blame creative or blame the agent. They never want to take responsibility for their own shortcomings or their own failures. So I think a lot of that comes from people not succeeding when Vince was writing, and they just threw the blame at him.
Mm-hmm. Good point. NFC Gameboy?
I seen a video, I think after Survivor Series, and Vince was talking and everything, and he pretty much took down Survivor Series. He was like, you know, it really was just dismal, you know, it really just was just a waste of time. The only funny thing he saw was the diet, Owens diet sign. I thought that was really funny myself, and I wanted to know, Survivor Series was supposed to be the 25 year anniversary of The Undertaker, and it's supposed to have been, you know, one of the big four, and now it's becoming just like a Monday Night Raw. And I want to know your opinion of now with 2 Raws in the books after, you know, Survivor Series and everything. How do you feel that the direction is going so far? Do you think that the writing's on the wall, or do you think that there may be a glimmer of hope?
I don't see a glimmer of hope. I mean, I've always said that as long as Vince McMahon's in charge, they're never going to, you know, the WWE will always be in business. You know, but every single day, the business is losing fans. And right now, when you don't have a WCW out there, however the WWE goes, that's how the business goes. So, you know, it affects everybody from the top of WWE to, you know, every single independent promotion in the world. As wrestling interest declines in WWE, everybody else is going to feel that in their wallet as well. I think it's not working, and the main reason why is when you take guys off of the roster, like Cena, like Orton, you know, where's Brock, where's Undertaker now anyway? I mean, these guys are gone. Those are your guys that are over. They have not made the rest of their roster important in the fans' eyes. They don't connect with these people. They don't care if they win or lose for the most part, and I think that's the biggest problem. With any television show in general, you got to make your audience care about the people in it, and I think that's probably the biggest problem right now is they don't care about the people in the show.
Okay, thank you, baby, thank you.
It is. Angry Mark?
Sorry, I was pouring another beer. But I do have a question for you.
Good.
When everything's going down with Vince McMahon, the creative team, can you explain to me right now, in your opinion, with the decline in the ratings, do you see Vince being forced to do something he doesn't want to do, and that would be bring back Daniel Bryan?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know his, you can read all about his medical situations, but who knows what the real truth is in that. Obviously Daniel Bryan, if he's good to go, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want him on the show. But as far as Vince being forced to do something he doesn't want to do, that's going to have to come from USA. And Vince Russo talked about this week. USA Network doesn't care about the stock, the WWE financials, the network sales. They don't care about that stuff. All they care about is how many people are turning on USA Network on Monday night. So unless they intervene and say, look, these ratings are getting too low for what we expect or what we're paying you for, we want you to go in this direction, I don't know what else is going to motivate them, because in my opinion, it doesn't look like anybody inside WWE is trying to get the direction to change. That's just an opinion. I mean, obviously, I don't know for sure.
Well, and one last thing I wanted to touch on, and, I do apologize. It's been a rough day. I'm a little irritated. But one thing that we brought up last week was the quality of the advertisers during Monday Night Raw. There has been a steady decline of top-notch commercials airing during the 8 to 11 p.m. hour. I think that is a huge sign already of what's happening behind the scenes with interest in Raw. And that's been going on for about 2 years. What are your thoughts on decline of some of the top-notch companies wanting to even advertise during that time period?
Well, that's a great point. That in my opinion, that's not one that I've really even thought about. But yeah, that's a great point. The advertisers, they're going to advertise based on that live rating. That's what they pay for, because, if you're watching the show on DVR, you're fast-forwarding through their material. So the advertisers pretty much really don't care if you're watching it on DVR. They want you to see their ads. So as the ratings decline on Raw, that there's less appeal there for the 18 to 49-year-old demographic that the advertisers target to get their product in front of them. They're going to advertise on something that's cool and hip, like, The Walking Dead and shows like that, where Raw is not seen as cool and hip anymore like it used to be. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, because last year, it only cost around $180 to advertise in a 4-county region for a 30-second spot on Monday Night Raw, and that was through Comcast. Now that same 30-second spot is $75.
Yeah, and I'm sure, the ratings go the other way. You'll see that go up.
But,
hey,
you heard it here first. I would love to hear you. I would love to hear you and Vince Russo talk about this, because this is something, like you said, not a lot of people talk about. We touched on it last week on our Thursday night show. Cheap plug, pro wrestling, black and white. But yeah, I'd love to hear you and Vince talk about the commercials that are airing during Raw. I mean, it's you don't even see Trojan advertising on there.
You don't. And
Trojan will advertise during all the different comedy stuff for a 30-second show.
That's, man, you're making a really great point, because you would think the same type of commercials you see during, like, football on Sundays or, would be what you see during Raw, all the Cialis commercials, everything geared towards, men and sexuality and all that stuff. And yeah, you're not seeing that at all.
All right, well, Jeff, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to drink a little bit more beer. I'm going to eat some pork tenderloin. And as soon as I hear back from Tech and Gameboy, I'll jump right back in.
Enjoy your beer.
Thank you, Mark. Jeff, going back to you, course, talk about your book that you wrote, Why It Sucks to Work at a Restaurant. Read some of the details about it. You worked in the restaurant industry, I believe, for about 11 years. Give us a little quick background of the book and tell us a couple of points of why it really does suck to work at a restaurant.
Well, the book is, it's funny because I did not, when I wrote this book, I would call it actually a promo on the restaurant industry because I ended up, I got fired from my last job in the restaurant industry, and I immediately went home and sat down on the computer and just started typing. And when I was done, it was only like 30 pages or so, but it was pretty much a 30-page promo, rant on the wrestling industry, and that's what I ended up turning into this book. So, it's not a real in-depth deal. That's why it's so cheap. It's only like 30 pages. But, I don't, in my opinion, it's an awful industry to work in, and I think the people working in it are treated unfairly. I was given directions from people above me that I had to pass down that were, I didn't think were fair, but, I have to go sell it like $1 million. This is great. It's just a poor industry to work in, and especially with the way that customers act now in restaurants. So, I go into the book about certain customer types and what they do, scheduling and politics in the restaurant industry. It's just, I'm sure everybody listening to this, in their job, they're saying, well, that's the same in my job, that's the same in my job, and it probably is. But I had the experience to write about it in the restaurant, so that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. Have you had any of the boys, anybody in the business, purchase your book or read it or give you any shout-outs or any thoughts of the book?
I don't know. I've had a bunch of the brand, and that's what we call our members at Vince Russo brand. We call them the brand. A lot of them have gotten the book and given me great feedback on it, so I always appreciate their support. I really don't keep in touch with too many people in the business anymore. A lot of the people that I worked with, it was never a long-term deal. It was always like a week here or a week there, or I maybe dealt with them for a few months, or but I really didn't get any stay with a lot of connections, so to speak. So I don't know if anybody's bought my book in the industry. That's a good question.
Well, that's something we definitely, Under the Mat Radio, Under the Mat Communications LLC, definitely will be doing in the future, is purchasing your book in the near future, and we'll give our own spin and our own thoughts on it.
I appreciate that. And listen, it's so short that you could probably finish it in 2 bowel movements. That's my advertisement for that. So.
It all depends if it comes. Everybody's BMs are different, but I definitely take a word for it. And it's a Gameboy.
Well, when you're talking about writing books and stuff, a lot of people, they get inspired, they get encouraged. What was your inspiration mainly? I know you just kind of touched on it, but what was your inspiration of really, writing a book? I mean, most people do blogs and stuff and everything, but to really put, hardback out there, to really put yourself out there, what was the core inspiration for that?
Well, I kind of wanted to make it where anybody could read it. And, a lot of times you write a blog, and after a few days, it's moved down the page. There's other stuff every day. So I really think it's a better medium, in my opinion, to keep something lasting out there to get. It's on, you can get it on Kindle. You can buy it on BarnesandNoble.com. It's always there. So if people are searching for restaurant books, they might come across it. If I wrote like this really long blog, who knows, it may have just like evaporated into the ethers of the internet. So I figured out, you can self-publish your books on Amazon, and that's what I did. I self-published it myself. It's not, it's really hard to make money that way unless, you got good advertising, which, I never did. So I really don't make any money off the book, but it's something I'm proud of because you can go somewhere and buy, online anyway, and get my book with my name on it and hear my story. So, it was pretty much just trying to get it in a medium where people could get it whenever they wanted.
Okay. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Just imagine you working for a restaurant. Don't worry, we'll go to other topics too, Jeff. You're working at a restaurant, and suppose Vince Russo was booking it. How do you think that would go?
If he was booking a restaurant?
Yes.
That'd be a good television show, actually. You might be onto something right there.
Right, Vince Russo booking a restaurant. People want
I
to
think it would kind of be like
chicken.
the movie Waiting.
Oh,
good movie.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it is
I think
a good
it would
movie.
be like that.
Yes, you tell Russo exactly we said that him booking a restaurant actually will be great, and ask him what he would actually add to it. Rubber chickens, things on a pole, David Arquette cameos.
You might have an idea there. This might be something we have to throw his way.
Yes,
right here, first one, Under the Mat Radio.
Yes, Under the Mat Radio, making history.
Coming up with those new ideas, yes.
Now, of course, because we talked off Jeff, before we cover, of course, everything else, pop culture news. Something, as you say, we're in the works of doing a special episode called Batman versus the World. We talked a lot about comic books and pop culture. We've had people from those types of media on our show before. And just wanted to say with you did an article on your website about Superman. And anybody that get a chance to read it, please let us know about it.
I'm sorry, I kind of lost. I'm losing you. I don't know if it's my phone or it's real gargly.
Yeah, can you hear us now?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I don't know what that was.
This time we was mentioning how of course cover pop culture. We're doing a show coming up called Batman versus the World, about Batman and Superman and all the other pop culture heroes. You did a couple of entries on your website about Superman. Talk to us about it. Is he one of your favorite heroes? What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I've always been drawn to Superman. I don't know what it is specifically, but I've always had I've always wanted to write in comics. So one day I was just sitting around and I wanted to create a Superman villain, but I wanted to create the reason why he, I wanted to create him based on his motivation for hating Superman, not on his powers or his costume or whatever the villain's gimmick is. I didn't want to create one that way. I wanted to create somebody that has a legitimate reason in his mind to hate Superman. So I came up with this guy in this story, and I just kind of wrote a real short little deal explaining his origin. And so I just posted it on my website, which is thejefflane.com. And then my buddy who writes for the site as well, he actually wrote the second one. I didn't write that one, but I've always seen. I just think superheroes in comics are such a great medium to tell stories, especially like uplifting stories. You see a lot of stuff on TV today, and it's depressing, or I don't know if you've seen the show The Leftovers on HBO. I try to get into that show because it was created by one of the guys that created Lost, which is one of my favorite shows. But it is so depressing. These people just
Wow.
Every single episode, it's like, are you kidding me? That these people have the worst lives, and there's a lot of TV like that, So I think comics are different, where you can get a lot of heroic stories and people doing good deeds for each other. I just think it's a good medium.
Yeah, I've never watched Lost. What about you, NFC Gameboy?
No, I never watched Lost before. I heard a lot of great things about it. A lot of people who tell me about Lost, they said like the first two seasons or the first season was like really, really good, and then it just like kind of went left field, and you really had to kind of like be like I guess a core fan to stick with it. But I mean, the show, it did really, really good, and a lot of the people, the stars from the show and the writers from the show went on to do other projects, and most of the projects they did were very successful. So,
Yeah, and it is a show that you would have to watch from start to finish. Like, it's not one of those shows where you can just pick it up in the middle. It's a definitely heavy serialized show. And, you know, a lot of people did get frustrated with it after the first couple seasons, like you said. But for me, that's what made it more interesting to me, because there was so much continuity and there was so much everything tying together, and you had to know everything. And it went, you thought you were going right and it would go left, or you thought you were going left and it would go right, and all this crazy stuff. And that's what actually drew it to me. So I didn't lose interest at all as the seasons went on. I thought they were just as good as the first ones.
What's some other favorite TV shows that you enjoy currently?
Currently that are on TV, my favorite is probably Orphan Black. It's on BBC America. It's a good show. I like Blind Spot. It's a new show. The Goldbergs. I think that show's hilarious. Sleepy Hollow. I like that show. I watch so much TV, man. I watch way too much TV. I like The Heroes, the new Hero show. That one's good. Yep. I think that's a good show. Doctor Who. I mean, there's a lot. I could go on all day about TV.
So,
it's probably one of the reasons why I'm single, but I watch a lot of TV.
With Doctor Who, it's like, 18, 20 doctors and seasons. Shout out to one of our staffers, David King, and of course, shout out to the Chuckster, big Doctor Who fans. I watched some of it. I can't really get into it. I know it's tons of doctors and different series. And are you like a legit Doctor Who fan where you know all about the doctors and the episodes, or are you one of those that is stuck with like certain ones?
No, I'm definitely more casual when it comes to that show. I never saw the original run, you know, the original 20-some-year run or whatever it was. I didn't, get into the show until the new series started like 10 years ago or whatever it was. I think they're on season 9 now, so 9 years ago. So I really only know what's happened in these 9 years. I don't know the history. But what's good is when they restarted it, they made it so you didn't have to know it. You know what I mean? They stuck to the continuity. Everything that happened in the other series mattered, but you didn't need to know it to enjoy the show, and I think that's why I was able to get into it.
We got a couple of fan questions, Jeff, if that's okay. One fan question, let me pull this up, is how did you and Vince meet and come about doing the podcast?
Well, when Vince had started a website before he joined up with the RELM Network, he had his own website last year, and they were looking for contributors. So I wrote in interested. We have a mutual friend, me and Vince, a real good friend in the business that we both know. So I was able to get into conversation, having a mutual friend. You know, I had someone to vouch for me. So I just kind of started writing for that website that Vince was running, did some articles and things, and then just progressed. He liked what I was doing, liked my effort, liked my loyalty, and it just progressed. I got more and more responsibilities, and when he had made the switch to the RELM Network, he gave me the opportunity to kind of be in there with him in the trenches and do all the shows with him, and give me a lot of responsibility. And, we've become great friends because of that. So really, he gave, I got the opportunity from him, and I'm just, trying to make the best of it.
NSC Gameboy?
Well, my question to you is that, wrestling is one of those things where, you love it and you hate it. And, I know how passionate you are about it, but I notice in the videos, I see a collection of DVDs, Blu-rays, some pops and stuff. Tell us about your other, hobbies as far as your collecting and stuff. I don't know if you actually like a serious collector, or maybe you just grabbed a few things, but I did notice that you had a extensive collection of certain items. So I'm wondering are you some type of collector, or was it just like,
Not really. I wouldn't really call myself a collector. I mean, maybe with comic books. I do have a lot of comic books. I don't know if it's a lot compared to other people, but I got about 9,000 comics, and there was a good 10-year span where I tried to get my hands on anything I could. Now the prices have gone up so much in the last few years in comics that I don't really collect them that much anymore. So I wouldn't say I'm a big collector. Like the pop stuff, I just got a few ones that I liked. But like with movies and stuff, I definitely buy too many movies, especially like TV shows, the series and Blu-rays and things. I do buy a lot of them. But my regular hobbies besides TV I'm just addicted to good entertainment and good storytelling. So whether it comes from a comic book, a movie, a wrestling show, a video game, if it's good, I'm probably interested in it. So,
got a couple of fan questions. Jeff, are you a fan of the show Empire?
Empire, I have not seen it, no. But a lot of people have told me to check it out. I don't want to start it now.
It gets real.
Somebody had told me you got to see it from the beginning. I don't know if that's true or not. So I've been trying to figure out how to watch the started from season 1. Once I'm gonna be able to do that, I'll see if I like it or not. But no, I haven't seen it yet.
What about one of our favorites, Breaking Bad?
Yes, I love Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
I almost gave up on it after season 1. I remember, it was only like 6 episodes, I think.
Yeah, I was the same way you were.
Yeah, and I remember watching the pilot. I'm like, this is pretty interesting, and then I thought it kind of fizzled out. And I don't remember. There was a long wait before season 2 started, and I kind of didn't really have the motivation to start season 2. I didn't feel that draw, but I'm glad I did because the show picked up so much after season 1.
Did.
Yeah, I love that show.
I almost gave up at episode 8. Not just pressed my way. Shout out to NSC Gameboy. I know you haven't yet gotten to Breaking Bad, but Breaking Bad season 1 is the equivalent to season 2 of Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that season 2 was long, drawn out, the farm. Are you a fan of Walking Dead too, Jeff, or?
I stopped watching it this year. I was a fan of the comic book. Like, I have a bunch of the trade paperbacks from like the first 60 or 70 issues or something like that. So I checked out the show because of that. I liked the first season. I liked, like you said, the second season was drawn out. I liked when Shane went crazy. I thought that was a good storyline. But like since then, like it seems like, I mean, maybe not season 3, but like season 4 and 5, it just kind of was like slow motion storytelling, and it was so drawn out, and I just sitting there getting bored. Like I want something to happen. I want something to advance. Then you get that huge episode where everything would happen at once, and then I'm like, okay, I'm back invested. But then it just was like, holy crap, here we go again with this drawn out stuff. And finally this year, I sat down and it was on the DVR, and I felt like it was going to be a chore to watch it. Like I was just watching it to watch it, not that I wanted to. And I'm like, you know what? There's so much other crap I could be wasting my time with. I'm going to watch stuff that I actually want to watch. So I haven't watched it this year.
Again, a lot of other random fans bringing up other shows. This is how our show is. Blue Bloods. I got one. Another fan wants to know your thoughts on Z Nation. One of our
Blue
good buddy
Bloods I
shows.
have not seen. Is that the one with Tom Selleck?
Yes, Tom Selleck.
Yeah, I know what they're talking about. I have not seen that. In Z Nation, I watched the pilot, and that was it. I didn't go any further with that one.
All right. Well, we're going to bring back Angry Mark. Go ahead, brother.
What's up, gentlemen?
Hey.
So Jeff, I have a couple show questions and movies for you.
All right.
So what are your thoughts on NCIS New Orleans?
Never seen it. I'm not really a big procedural television fan.
Okay.
I'm more into like the serialized stuff where you can't miss an episode. Everything ties in. There's threads. I don't know if NCIS New Orleans is like that. I tried the regular series, and it just seemed like another case of the week type show for me. And I've just never really been interested in those. I don't know. I'm more into the serialized storytelling aspect.
So what are your thoughts about Vivid, and are you a fan of their movies?
Vivid? Like the porn? No comment. No comment.
Oh, you can't do that. We ain't no comment here, man. We not 4 kids, so you got to comment. This is how we do stuff. You ain't getting out of this here.
Jeff's like, holy shit, what did I get myself into?
Don't
worry. Hey, there's no problem here. It's no difference between me and, putting a belt on me like Russo put on Arquette.
Yeah,
I'll say it like this. In the internet age, I do not own any of those types of movies.
You don't have to own them. It's okay.
You ain't got to own it. You can easily,
hey, you want to ask an expert about that? Let's get Gameboy back.
Yeah, NFC Gameboy, come on back, brother.
Yes,
NFC Gameboy, your thoughts?
My thoughts of the porn site? Is that what you?
Yeah.
I make my own porn. I kind of stopped watching porn. Like maybe a couple years ago, I actually make my own collection of stuff that I do. So I call that my greatest hits. And I'll just write off of that. I don't really have to watch it. I enjoy just making it myself. So I don't know how we got on the subject, but
it's how we do stuff.
Yeah, it is. Wow. Wow.
You good, Jeff? We not scaring you, are we?
Oh no. This is interesting, actually. Listening, you got his own plan. That's pretty cool.
Go ahead, Mark. Your thoughts.
Well, I'm fairly impressed that Gameboy is very confident in himself. I can appreciate Jeff taking the political route with no comment. I definitely understand that. So I guess my follow-up to that question would be, let's get back onto the wrestling. Who do you see, or who have you heard through the rumor mills, possibly being brought in to help WWE Creative?
I haven't heard anything, honestly. I don't know if they're looking for people. I mean, the only thing I've heard, and this is that Vince McMahon is heavily involved in the product that goes on the show. So I from what people have told me, he's not looking for help. So I just don't know if they have any interest in bringing in people. I really don't. I feel like it's they're just, if they do, it would just be to continue what they're doing, at least from the track record of the TV shows. I don't know. I think for them to make a change, somebody in the company already has got to just get through and say, we're better than this. There's millions of people that used to love us that don't pay attention to us anymore. Let's get those people back. Somebody's got to say that.
And what are your thoughts on me getting Domino's to deliver 3 large pizzas to Kevin Owens before next Monday's Raw to the entrance? I'm thinking about doing it for 4 weeks in a row on Monday Night Raws.
I think we should do that.
And just putting Eat Owens Eat on the boxes.
Yeah.
You did this? You actually did this?
I placed the one order for SmackDown tonight. It's only 45 minutes from my house, Jess.
Wow. You should go Periscope that live. That's hilarious.
So I'm thinking about doing it next week as well for Raw in Virginia.
Yes. You know how creative that would be, though, and entertaining if they did stuff like that on the actual show, like played off what people are saying? Like, that'd be awesome, man. I'm jealous that you came up with that.
The question is, why is it that we're all here, all professionals in media, and we're coming up with better ideas than the E?
Why do people come up with better ideas than them?
And I said it's sad that we're sitting here, all professionals in media, coming up with better ideas than WWE.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the point, like, you got to... look at like that idea. That's so far out of the box that it would be creative and entertaining because people don't think of stuff like that. They stick to the safe routes and the wrestling 101. And I don't like you, you don't like me. Let's go fight about it, and we'll fight about it again on Thursday, and we'll fight about it again next Monday. There's really no effort into thinking outside of the box. That's what they need to do.
I think they need to bring DDP in. Like, somebody needs to bring DDP in. Just show up and be like, Kevin, I'm sent here to instruct you on yoga.
Bring back Simon Dean. Bring him back.
I mean, there's so many things that, Kevin Owens gets a lot of heat, especially on our site, but I don't... I think the guy is talented, and the guy could be over with the right stuff. So, I think if they play into what the fans are trying to get heat on him for instead of ignoring it, I think it would help his progression.
Mhm. He is over, but they killed him. I mean, you bring him in, you have him beat Cena clean, pop-up powerbomb, first time in a WWE ring, not counting NXT, of course. Then it's lose 2 in a row because we all know Cena has to be, Super Cena, and he always makes, his comeback. And, just like, I always say about, the whole Make-A-Wish stuff, it's wonderful that he does all the Make-A-Wish stuff. I just think we need to encourage John Cena to have sex with Nikki. And then the WWE is set for the next 20 years because they can just pop out little Cenas, and keep selling merch.
Really need that. They really need more
little farm system.
What are your thoughts on that? Should John Cena, Jeff, should he intentionally get paid bonuses to pop out little Cenas for the next 60 years of Raw?
It might be a good strategy to plan for the future, like their own little farm system. Yeah, let's go for it. But, on your own
first.
On your Owens point, though, I think that was the issue. I think they felt like we had him beat Cena, so now everybody's going to continue to think this guy's awesome from here on out. And after the Cena stuff, they didn't give anybody a reason to still care about the guy.
I think they missed the boat to put Owens. I know Owens was supposed to be the heel, but, I mean, he was getting cheered out of he was getting the biggest pops. Me personally, I would have loved to see, immediately following the Cena feud, I would have loved to see him go into it with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I'd like to see go into it with Bray Wyatt. I don't know if they realize how good the guy actually is. And
no, they don't, or else they would use him better instead of putting him in a tag match with Kane and Undertaker.
Let's talk about this, Jeff. Let's talk about the fact of the plot holes in WWE storytelling. The fact that you have the Wyatts, who debuted here in Baltimore. They abducted people, and yet nothing has happened. They abducted Kane twice. They abducted Daniel Bryan. They abducted Undertaker. Yet nothing happens. You show no vignettes and them torture Undertaker or nothing. They just downloaded it back on TV like nothing happened. The Wyatts, they took away Undertaker after Hell in a Cell, and they just popped up like nothing happened. What was the point? They could have just built up.
100% agree.
They could have built up
that was
vignettes.
a drop ball like you wouldn't believe.
They could have did vignettes of Undertaker being weak and them trying to, Bray trying to make him a Wyatt under the spell. Then you could bring Kane in. Kane could be helping Undertaker out as the brother, and then that's when you have it being a reason for them to fight. But yet they just pop up out the blue. Why was Bray Wyatt even? What was the memorial for Kane? Like, made no sense. Kane just pops
somehow
up.
they got over to England. They escaped and got to England to be on that Raw, but we don't even know how they got away from the Wyatts. So yeah, it's like they do these things where you see potential. Like what happened to Seth Rollins after Kane dragged him under the ring? Did the house lights just come on and they just dusted off and went to the back? I mean, there's stories that they're dropping. The Wyatt thing is the biggest one. Yeah.
How did Kane find his mask?
Yeah, I mean, but you mentioned the taking of the Kane and the Undertaker and showing vignettes. How great would that have been? Me and Vince were kicking around ideas, and I that was one of them. I thought that if they showed them being held by them, and you kind of did it like a ministry thing, and obviously, you would have to make this make sense somehow. But if Bray Wyatt was in the tournament instead of doing the match with the Undertaker and Kane, Undertaker and Kane come out while Wyatt's in the final, and they actually help him win the belt, and they end up joining his side because whatever Bray did to them when they had him captive converted them to the Wyatt family or something. There's probably better ways to do it, but there's so much story there that was ignored where I thought that could have been a huge, huge deal for them.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah, so sad. Definitely. Now, Jeff, James Bond. You've been posting articles on your website, which I really enjoyed, about James Bond films. Of course, Spectre just came out with Daniel Craig. He came out and said he's not playing James Bond anymore. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, didn't he kind of retract that a little bit and come out and say he'd be open to doing another one? I think he did. I'm not sure. But I thought he looked. I thought I think he's phenomenal at the role, but I think he's starting to show his age in this one. You know what I mean? I don't know how familiar you guys are with Bond, but Roger Moore, in his last couple films, was old, and he looked it. And I would hate to see Daniel Craig get to that point where he hangs on too long, and it just looks like an old guy running around in a tuxedo. You know what I mean?
I'm a big James Bond fan, and I seen Spectre the day it came out, just like I did Spyfall and Quantum of Solace and Casino Royale. I've been watching James Bond for over 35 years. I was very. I'm not going to say I was disappointed with this movie. I did like the tie-in with the other three movies, but I noticed that, Casino Royale was real good, and then Quantum Science was kind of then Skyfall was really, really good, and then this one was kind of and this movie looked very, very rushed. It really didn't, to me, it didn't really set a pace, and that's what really the biggest disappointment was. The story was predictable. I think the biggest part that kind of shocked me was Batista's fight scene. The fight scene was actually really, really good, which kind of surprised me. And shout out to the choreographer, whoever did that scene, because the fight scene, especially on the train, that was a very, very good fight scene. But just the movie itself, it just, and I know Daniel Craig went on record at a point in saying that he'd rather slit his wrist than play James Bond again. And I don't know if he retracted that statement of saying he would do it again, but I do remember him saying that this role is hindering him being an actor and playing in other movies, because you have to travel to all these different lands to do filming, and it takes a year and a half, almost 2 years to film one movie, and you miss about 2 different projects. So
What a life, though, huh? I mean, what a life. Could you imagine being like, oh, man, playing James Bond is just such a bummer on my life. How great of a life does this guy have?
Yeah.
The true question is, who has more lives than James Bond? Is that Don Transporter guy Jason Statham played? Some of the most unrealistic, unbelievable action sequences. Me and the Gameboy, what do we see? Transporter 2 and 3 in the movies?
Oh God!
There
especially part 2.
This is unbelievable. I know it's a movie, but it comes to a point when you just wow. He was even more superior than Cena.
It's when you watch certain movies like that, the movie Shoot 'Em Up. If y'all remember, that movie came out almost 8, 9 years ago. That movie, I forgot the dude. I forgot the guy name. Clive Owen. Yeah, that was a movie, an action movie, but, it played on kind of like comic bookish, where, it intentionally had these over-the-top stunts, where you had these guys, jumping through car windows to another car window, stuff like that. Whereas with Transporter, they try to make it like it was an actual serious movie. It's a serious action movie, and he's doing these inhumane, unthinkable stunts. Like, come on, really? Like, was he Spider-Man or something? Like, and then through the whole movie, he comes up with like a scratch, like a Band-Aid, after he was just fighting on a jet that crash landed into a water, and the jet is filling up with water, and he's still fighting the guy. It's like, really? Like, people die in plane crashes all the time. It's very so often you hear a guy or people fighting on a plane that's actually crashed, a jet at that. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of awkward.
Yeah, I get that feeling watching the Fast and Furious movies. But like, I think you get to a point, like, especially like when a franchise keeps doing it, that you take it with a grain of salt and you just expect it, because that's part of what its appeal is. Like James Bond, would have never made it out of Dr. No if we're going to be realistic here. But it's part of the appeal. His ridiculous humor, the gadgets, the quips as he's about to die, and the fight scenes and stuff. It's just it's part of the appeal, I think. And I totally get what you're saying. If I saw something like this in just a regular movie I'm watching, I'd be like, come on, are you kidding me? But when I see it in a James Bond movie, I'm not even fazed by it. I just expect it.
Yeah.
Who is or was the best James Bond?
Really? Is that a question?
Hey, it is, because people debate about it online. It's just the truth. I'm pretty sure we know Jeff's answer, but for the sake of argument, and go way back in here, in the interest of fairness, remember that back in the day. Jeff, what's your answer?
Well, I'll tell you, it's weird because I was most entertained by Roger Moore. And that was just basically on his line delivery and his humor. But like my favorite Bond movie is GoldenEye, with Brosnan. And if I had to watch a group of films just on one actor only, I would pick the Connery movies, because I thought the Connery, all of his movies were the best group. You know what I mean? So it's really strange. The only one that I really have no ties to is Timothy Dalton. I didn't get it. You know what I mean? They tried to do a different take. License to Kill is my least favorite Bond movie.
Wait, he was great in cameos. He was great in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff with Dalton that he's really good in. I just don't think, I don't know. Yeah, he just, at least the way they had him be Bond, it just wasn't Bond.
I want to change gears real quick, because I know we're getting short on time, Tech. We talked early on the show. Our correspondent, Toph, he was talking about the New Day, and I was a fan of the New Day, and now I'm really not a fan of it anymore. The coonery that I see of the shucking and jiving and the gyrating dancing and stuff, it really get under my skin. I want to hear your thoughts and your opinion about the New Day in its mediocre rise in the WWE. What is your thoughts of the group? And
well, it's interesting. And obviously this is just my opinion. I don't know any of this as facts, but I mean, you could probably take it as fact that they were given an awful gimmick with awful intro vignettes. That was doomed to fail from the start. But I feel like, in my opinion, that these three guys just said, you know what, screw this. We're going to make this work any way that we can. And they went out there and they did their own thing and entertained people, and it worked. The trombone I thought was genius. So I feel like that's all those three. I mean, because you look at the way the rest of the show's written, and the way these guys are does not fit into the rest of the show. So I feel like this is all they're doing their own thing. But now I'm starting to see a problem where I think, the WWE is seeing how everybody was drawn to them. So they're like, okay, well, instead of your 3-minute promo, go do it for 8. And they're not giving them anything to work with. They just want them to do their thing on their own longer. So now they're trying to fill more time, and it's getting dragged out, and I think it's actually watering down their appeal. And I think people are, if they keep going this route and they keep putting them on the show 4 or 5 times, and they keep expanding the amount of time that they have to do improv, it's going to be too much, and I think people are going to start not being as entertained by it.
Yeah, it's too much overexposure. It is. Real quick, go ahead and remark, 30 seconds.
I am a huge mark, no disrespect to my own name, for the New Day. I love what these guys are doing. Yeah, their promos are getting a little bit too long, but it's finally showing their personalities. I mean, and their little WWEshop.com, when they did that the other night, God, that reminded me of DX. I'm not comparing them to DX. What I'm saying is when they did their segment for WWEshop.com, I mean, and just in general, how they carry themselves in the ring now. I mean, I'm a white guy with a shaved head and a goatee, and I love the New Day.
Yeah,
well, God bless
but
you.
I mean, a lot of people do, but I think that's where we're going to get into a problem. Is they have to evolve now. We have to take it to the next level with them. They can't remain stagnant and just keep doing the same thing over and over, in my opinion. We got to bring them up a level now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's fine. It is definitely fine. With that being said, of course, we're going to do something we call a plug party. And that is just go ahead, plug everything that you got, social media, next appearances, your next show with Vince Russo, how to contact you, your next blogs. Go ahead, let us know.
Well, most importantly, you can find me at VinceRussoBrand.com daily. We do a lot of video shows. We have some free stuff. I believe the best stuff is on VIP. We got a lot of interviews, video interviews with stars. Vince has got some coming up with Ed Ferrara, with Ken Anderson, with Blue Pants. Those will be all on video for the VIP members. And we have a special, if you sign up for the rest of, if you sign up by the end of the year, by December 31st, you can lock in at a $3.95 rate per month for life, as long as you keep your account active. So that's my main spot. I'm on Twitter at JeffLane22, and I also have my own website, thejefflane.com. And thank you for letting me do this.
No problem. Hopefully you had fun, Jeff Lane. Remember Jeff Lane? Check him out, thejefflane.com, where he has a long way to go because he's only posted about a few Bond films, so he has a whole bunch that he has to post. Continue to hear his love for Superman on his website. Please check out his book, Why Not to Work. Excuse me. Check out his book. It is entitled Why Sucks to Work at a Restaurant. Jeff Lane, you've been great. We definitely will contact you after air so we can have you back on the show at a future time. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you, everybody, and I appreciate the invite. I had a blast.
No problem.
Oh, cool, man. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hey, everybody, thank you very much. We got 60 seconds. Don't forget to check out this Thursday night, Live Out Loud. We'll be wrestling in black and white with me, Chuck, and Angry Mark. Of course, dissecting the wrestling business as a whole. And, of course, don't forget to check us out next week. We will have star of AfterBuzz TV. Check him out on YouTube, Isaac Johnson. He is a writer, musician, and podcaster. Big. Check out AfterBuzz TV. He will be joining us. Also coming up soon will be the likes of Ricky Steamboat, Rikishi, Carlito will be joining the show coming up this month. Check us out this Saturday at Lancaster Host Resort and Lancaster, PA for the Legends Hall of Fame featuring Lex Luger, Nikita Koloff, and Bill After. This is Tech and it's the Gameboy. Saltine Chuck, LSR, Afrocentric Queen, and Granky Mark. Talk to you all next week.
Amen, everybody. Amen.
We got a little extra time. Saltine, got something to say? Toast?
Nope.
So say nope, Saltine? And Angry?
Nope.
So say nope, Saltine? And Angry Mark?
I say that everybody head down and get a drink down at Pickles Pub. First round on me.
All right. Yeah, there, NSC. And don't be like PMK drinking any fruity drinks. Talk to you all on Thursday. Jam.